Hello. I've had the privilege of speaking to a lot of you today. My name's Jessica Mason. I am the Teach First president. So I am elected to represent, champion our voice, champion the views of the Teach First community.
I'm Mark Holmes. I'm Teach First vice president, prior to which I was a lower Key Stage 2 teacher in a primary school in Bradford, West Yorkshire. I was elected back, shout out for Bradford, West Yorkshire, excellent. I was elected back in spring with the strong priorities around teacher well-being and teacher mental health. Key issues it was really great to hear Justine Greening and particularly Angela Rayner raise when we heard from them earlier on today. And what an amazing day it's been so far. The energy has been fantastic inside this auditorium and outside. My personal highlight has been listening to Marcus Shepherd. I thought he was inspirational, and wow, that choir would just, if you had a dry eye, you know, I'm worried about you, that you've got heart of stone. How about you, Jess? What was your favourite?
Well, you've stolen mine, but that's fine. I stood by the side waiting to speak with Justine Greening, and I looked over during the choir, and you all had your phones out, and you were all waving, and I'm pleased I have waterproof mascara on. I did not have a dry eye. I really enjoyed Tim Harford's speech, although it made me very nervous about bringing my notebook up to speak to you. He was talking about ripping it up and throwing it away. But it did inspire me to say something else. Obviously, Mark and I were hosting the questions. We put it out to the community to ask the questions for Justine Greening and Angela Rayner. I would say that it's up to us as a community to hold them to account on what they were saying. They made some fantastic speeches and promises about areas of disadvantage and challenges that face teachers, wider community. I think it's up to us as the Teach First community, as the teachers, the ambassadors, the participants, to kind of say to them, okay, you've heard us, you've recognized that, now what we're going to do about it. That's one of the things I'm putting out. But that's not what we're here to talk to you about today. Like, obviously, today is the theme of social mobility and what that looks like in our classroom. And so I did a program in the Northeast, in South Shields. I'm a 2014 ambassador. I don't know if we've got many of those in the room today. We do. And I want to talk to you a little bit about careers education, because we've heard a lot about that. So when I was in ITT, I started, and I realized that teaching French in a little coastal town in the Northeast, the question that I was going to get asked frequently, and I was asked frequently, Miss, what's the point? I don't think that's unique to French. I think as soon as you teach any subject that's not directly linked to hard skill that students can see transfer, you get asked that question. So I said to my head of department, can I take that notice board at the end of the corridor? And obviously, as a head of department, she was just like, please just do something with it. So I did some research. And on that, I put different careers. So I had being a pharmacist, being a paramedic, being an accountant, being a lawyer. I had PwC, I had Deloitte, NHS, teaching for one of them. All of which were careers, industries, companies that valued careers. Now, I was a little bit cruel with this. Whenever people threw a strop and said to me, but Miss, what's the point? I was like, that's fine. I'd go outside, pick a career off there, 100 words on my desk tomorrow about what the point of French is. So I'd rehearse this. Oh, I said it in English, by the way. I'm not a complete monster. But a lot of my classes got to know this, and I had a Year 8 nurture class, and I got a managed move pupil in. If you are a teacher, you'll know that that basically means that he's been moved out of another school, so he'll grow in the school that he's been moved into. And he threw this strop. Miss, what's the point? So the rest of the kids just went, oh, no, don't do that. You know what's going to happen. You're going to have these words. And so he went away. I said, right, go pick one. So he did. He picked paramedic off this board. And he came back in the next day. He's like, hey, miss, I've got to get a C to be a paramedic. I was like, yeah, you do. So what does that mean? Well, I have to do French. I have to get a C in French. At the time, it was the old way of doing it. I was like, yeah, you're right. So what does that mean? Well, miss, I'm going to care about an adjective agreement now. Fantastic. It was when SLT walked in and they said to him, so what are you learning today? He's like, well, sir, I'm learning about adjectives agreements, because without that, I can't be a paramedic, because do you know that paramedics have to speak other languages in order to do their job well? It's like, yes! Anybody who's had that win with SLT, you'll know that that's a big thing. What I'm saying is that's a little change. And I was very, very focused on my classroom. But actually, We need to think beyond that. I forgot at that point that I was teach first at all. I think that happens in your first year. Like somebody said teach first to me, I was like, oh yeah, need to do something with them. And now I'm teach first president, so sorry. Think beyond your classroom.
As I alluded to earlier, I'm a primary school teacher, and I'm a firm believer that every good day in a primary school has a story in it. So I couldn't think of any good reason today why I couldn't tell you a story, so please humor me for the next couple of minutes. So you're out for a walk, and you come across a quarry. 3 stonemasons are hacking away at its face. Curious, you approach the first stonemason and inquire what they are doing. The first stonemason turns to you with a frown and grumpily replies, I'm smacking this rock with this axe to make smaller rocks. Okay, fair enough. Further down the quarry, you approach the second stonemason, and again, you ask the same question. I'm getting small rocks out of this rock face, and I'm putting them in a pile over there, so someone somewhere can build a wall. Okay, bit of apathy in his reply, but happy, you move on. Further down the quarry, you come across the third and final stonemason, and again, you ask the same question. The stonemason turns to you with a smile. He downs his tools, takes a step back from the rock face, looks up at the sky. I, he proudly proclaims, am building a cathedral. Now, those of you that know me will know that I'm the first to admit that at times in the classroom, I was that first stonemason. I was grumpily swinging my axe day after day, relentlessly trying to make a difference, but not really feeling like I was getting anywhere. Yes, my kids were showing good progress, and yes, they were certainly maturing, but that's just 30 kids, isn't it? It was only events like this, whether that be Teach First events or teaching gatherings from the wider education community, and certainly since becoming Teach First Vice President, that I would remember the bigger picture. I was part of something bigger. I am part of something bigger. And it's growing. I've become that third stonemason. And the task of that stonemason was absolutely no different to the task of the other 2. The difference was that he had purpose. And purpose is what makes change happen. The truth is that every single small action adds up to something extraordinary. So that applies whether you're in the quarry, whether you're laying the stones, or whether you're designing the cathedral itself. Each role, each task is as vital as the next in achieving the outcome. Look around you. If everybody takes a similar action in this room, think about what we can achieve. In this arena, we have those in the quarry, right through to those at the drawing board. The power of this community is immense. Let's harness it. So, before I hand back to Jess for some final thoughts, I want to ask you this. What is your purpose? What commitment are you going to make today to help us all build that cathedral?
I think that our teachers and ambassadors, whether in the classroom or not, are doing a phenomenal job. I think that what we do, what every teacher does in the classroom, is phenomenal. I think everybody here who's taken a day out the half term, a day off work to be here, what an amazing commitment. But it's not enough to leave here feeling inspired and feeling motivated. And I'm unapologetic in saying that, because I don't think it's enough for me either. The thing is, we need to leave with an action. We need to say, yes, we're here, we're angry, we're driven, we're motivated. It doesn't matter whether we're in the classroom or we're not. It doesn't matter whether we work for big business or we work for a third sector or we work for a charity. We need to make something happen. We need to be the movers and shakers that put these conversations to the lips of the policymakers that we know make these big decisions. We are not just a splash, we're not a drop in the ocean, we are the wave. Everybody in this room cares so much. So don't leave without anything. Leave having made a pledge. Leave having signed up to the Big Class Challenge, which, by the way, is entirely born out of community voice. The whole thing isn't a Teach First, it is a Teach First challenge now, But it was born out of our community saying, we want to do something to make a difference. I know that Mark and I, our pledge is to go into classrooms so this is kind of, I don't know, off script, an open invitation to get in touch with us, to make us go into classrooms and talk to people about jobs in the education sector. Make your pledge. Make that difference. And let's leave today with something, not just being inspired. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.